But anyway, he also did a Cadillac that was pretty cool. I don't know if I'll find that video. But he did this with me, and honestly, it was a very nice experience. We sat down, he talked about what I wanted, and asked me questions about what I'm going to do with it, what horsepowers I want, and my reply was, I really don't give a crap about horsepower. I give a crap about this thing staying running. So he was able to go through and get rid of a lot of things. So you guys are saying, get rid of a lot of things. What do you mean? Blue. Just like an old Super Nintendo game or Sega Genesis, you gotta blow into it for it to work. But what he got rid of was the the mass airflow sensor on the intake. It still has to be there for your air temperature sensor. He changed the safe modes inside the transmission. He changed the temperature sensor. He changed the amount of fuel that is used through the whole spectrum. He changed the timing at idle. He basically sat me down. He showed me everything that he was doing and showed me what I should look for, asked me situations and stuff like that. This is my first time ever getting a computer tuned, and I was actually very, very impressed with basically everything. He knew exactly what he was doing. He started up in a truck right there beside me. He showed it to me. It sounded amazing. The truck that he took it was his personal truck. He says it's got a mild tow tune in it because he has a 2500 6-liter that he tows with. He programmed this thing and then plugged it in, and the sound of the truck completely changed just from plugging this one in. Honestly, I enjoyed everything about it. He tells me he can tune just about anything newer than 98. So he's talking Cavaliers, W bodies, 3.8s, 3.1s, 4.3s, LSs, all the way through the spectrum, 4.8 right up to 6.2. He says he can even do the 8.1s as well. He says he can do some Hemis and some Toyota trucks. No, Toyota Camrys, trust me. I asked him about the Toyota Camrys. I'm going to put a link to his channel, to his Facebook page, maybe here. But honestly, I gotta say, everything that he showed me about this made a lot of sense to me. He walked me through it. The whole process took about 35, 45 minutes kind of thing. But I think it was worth it. He got rid of security in this as well. So that means I can switch this from truck to truck, and I can take this tune with me. It's like basically, if you're doing your old derby stuff, pretend you have a 350, and you put a cam into it, you put nice lifters into it, and you do all that stuff, but that has to stay with the motor. And what happens if you damage the motor? Basically, everything that you used to be able to do and spend money on and hard pack it inside the engine, you can now do all to this computer. So I did it. I bit the bullet. I bought it. I did it. I don't know. I'm going to try to start this thing up now. I got to throw a battery into this, and I'm going to see how well this thing runs. Try to back it into some things, see if it feels different. And see if it sounds different, because it did kind of sound very gutless before, but let's face it, I don't even know how many kilometers are on the truck right now. I'll tell you the kilometers when I get the battery in it. I'll be right back. Well, you guys ready for the moment here? We got the positive on. Let's just see if... I know this is just sort of rigged up, but it works for now. Ready? Is my battery dead? I thought this was a good battery. Well, let me charge this battery and I'll be right back. Well, you ready to try this again? I got it all hooked up. Ready? It's in park. Sounds a little different. He says with the amount of kilometers on it, he'd recommend doing plugs and wires, but I still don't think it's running on all 8. Let's see if she does better burnouts than before. first test drive of this with the new computer did not go so well. It put engine into reduced power mode. It would not rev over 3,500 RPM. I contacted Buddy and he told me, when's the last time plugs and wires were done on this? I said, I have no idea. I pulled a couple off while this thing was running and it doesn't seem to have made any difference. So I'm going to try to change all the spark plugs and all the wires. So I just went to Napa and bought some. I did buy the copper tip plugs. I was told they're much better for this application. So I spent $117 on plugs and wires. We're going to try to get this thing going. I think it's probably got a dead cylinder or two. This thing's, it's had a rough life, guys, like a very rough life. So we're just going to do a little bit more work to it and see if we can get it going. So I'm just going to change out all 8 plugs and all 8 wires and see what happens from there. So this truck is giving me problems like you wouldn't believe. I know it's not the tune because we took this computer out and we put it inside of another truck and there was 0 issues. 0. So I know it's the wiring harness on the truck. So what it's doing is to the map sensor, it is sending 3.8 volts instead of 5 volts. So I don't know what that is. I tried tapping into power from the evap system to send 5 volts as a 5 volt reference. It's still not working. And then the timing, something's wrong with the timing harness as well, because the timing harness will read negative 39 degrees. Just randomly, and then it will get to this point where it runs like a diesel, like this. So I've pretty much exhausted everything I can do with this. I've put new map sensor into it, I've put new timing sensor into it, I've cleaned up as much wiring as I can, I've traced as much wiring as I can, tried to jump it, I've got a standalone computer that's been tuned. I've done a lot of things to this that should make this truck run great. The next thing it needs is basically a standalone harness. There's one guy that makes them cheap here in Ontario that I've been talking to, but because it's a drive-by-wire, he can't have it made in time. I talked to another guy who tells me he can do it, but he wants $800. And honestly, for me to put $800 into a truck that I'm only going to run once is not a feasible plan. So my dad has a truck at his property, and we're going to go take a look at that probably tomorrow or tonight. And then if that fails, I'll have to find a van or another truck somewhere, because this guy promised my wife she can run in the truck and van class, and when I promise my wife something, I try real hard to follow through with my promises. So I need to get her into that ring, either in a truck or a van. So we'll go check out my father's truck. It's his old daily driver, and we'll see how that thing goes. But if all else fails, I'll find a third vehicle. I have like 2 weeks. By the time this video goes on, probably a week to get a truck ready for her. But I'm going to get something built, and she's going to run Drayton. I know she will. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow.